Have you ever wondered why we need laws? Do they always deliver justice? Well, law is a system of rules, regulations, and principles established by a governing authority to regulate human behavior. It's a set of guidelines that society recognizes as binding, and that we, as individuals, are obligated to follow. These laws serve several purposes, from maintaining order and resolving disputes to protecting individual rights and freedoms. But it's not just one big monolithic entity. Law has various components. There's legislation, created by legislative bodies like parliaments or congresses. There's common law, developed through judicial decisions and precedents. We have constitutional law, which outlines the structure of government, distribution of powers, and protection of individual rights. We also have administrative law, international law, criminal law, and civil law. And of course, different countries have different legal systems like common law, civil law, religious law, or a combination of these. Law, in all its forms, seeks to maintain order and protect individuals. But is it always just? Now let's explore justice. What do we mean when we say something is just or unjust? The term justice is often tossed around in everyday conversations, but it carries a heavier weight in the realm of law and society. At its core, justice refers to the concept of fairness, equity, and righteousness in the treatment of individuals and the resolution of disputes. It is the bedrock upon which our societal values are built. Justice is not just about punishment or retribution. It's about treating individuals with fairness and impartiality, regardless of their race, gender, or socioeconomic status. It's about ensuring equal access to rights, opportunities, and resources. In the legal context, justice is associated with the fair and impartial adjudication of disputes. It's deeply connected to moral principles and ethical standards. And perhaps most importantly, justice is about the protection and preservation of individual rights and liberties. Justice aims for fairness and equality, but does it always align with the law? Law and justice, two concepts closely intertwined yet distinct. How do they relate? At their core, laws are designed with justice in mind. They are intended as a framework to keep society functioning smoothly, protect individual rights, and maintain order. In essence, laws are the tools we use to bring about justice. Yet, it isn't always as straightforward as it might seem. There are instances where laws may fall short of delivering justice. For example, consider a law that is technically fair, but fails to account for societal inequalities. In such a case, the law may inadvertently perpetuate injustice, even though it is being applied impartially and correctly. Moreover, laws are not immune to biases and prejudices present in society at the time of their creation. As society evolves, so too must our laws to ensure they continue to uphold justice. This is where the concept of legal reform comes into play, continuously shaping our laws to better serve justice. There are also instances where a law may be just, but its enforcement may not be. If a law is selectively enforced or applied in a discriminatory manner, it fails to deliver justice. In conclusion, while law and justice are deeply interconnected, they are not always perfectly aligned. While law aims to deliver justice, it's clear there can be a gap. The gap between law and justice, a chasm or a stepping stone? Let's delve deeper. There's no denying that the law and justice are two sides of the same coin. Yet there can be a gap, a disparity, a disconnect. This gap arises when the law, in its rigid form, fails to equate to justice, creating a situation where the letter of the law is upheld, but the spirit of justice is ignored. So how do we bridge this gap? First, we must recognize that the law is not static. It is dynamic and should evolve with societal changes. Legal reform, therefore, becomes a key instrument in bridging the gap. It involves revising existing laws or introducing new ones to better reflect societal values and ensure that justice is served. Yet, legal reform alone is not enough. It must be coupled with judicial interpretation. Judges, the custodians of both law and justice, play a crucial role in bridging the gap. They interpret the law not merely based on its literal words, but by considering the broader principles of justice. They breathe life into the law, ensuring it is applied fairly and equitably. But the bridge cannot be built by legal professionals alone. Public participation is equally important. Citizens need to be aware of their rights and responsibilities under the law. They must be active participants in the legal process, voicing their concerns, demanding transparency, and pushing for reforms when necessary. In essence, bridging the gap between law and justice is a collective endeavor. It requires a legal system that not only enforces laws but also upholds justice, a judiciary that interprets the law with an eye towards fairness, and a public that is informed and engaged. In conclusion, bridging the gap between law and justice is not about making the two synonymous. It's about ensuring that the law, in its pursuit of order and stability, does not lose sight of justice, the very ethos it aims to serve. Bridging the gap between law and justice is no easy task, but it's a pursuit worth striving for. As we come to the end of our journey, let's pause and reflect on what we've learned. We started by defining law as a system of rules, regulations, and principles enforced by a governing authority to regulate human behavior. It's a set of guidelines that maintain order, resolve disputes, protect individual rights and freedoms, and promote justice. We delved into the various components of law, from legislation and common law to constitutional, administrative, international, criminal, and civil law. We also explored how different countries may have different legal systems like common law, civil law, religious law, or a mix of these. Next, we defined justice as the concept of fairness, equity, and righteousness in the treatment of individuals and resolution of disputes. It's about fair treatment, equality, impartial adjudication, morality, and the protection of rights. We then discussed the relationship between law and justice and the gap that often exists between them. While law provides the framework and mechanisms for justice, it doesn't always result in just outcomes. This gap can be bridged by ensuring that laws are applied fairly and impartially, and by continuously working to reform laws that lead to unjust outcomes. In the end, the pursuit of justice within the framework of law is an ongoing journey, one that demands our continuous attention and effort.